Hi everyone, and welcome to the second Travis CI webinar. We're going to be going through today using experimental CLI commands with Docker. As usual, the host is going to be Montana, and I'll throw across to him now to introduce things. Hey, Montana.
Hey, thank you for the introduction, Paul. And yeah, as Paul said, today we're going to be using experimental CLI commands with Docker and why you need these. So let's kind of jump into it. Why should we care about manifest? Because this is what we're going to be mostly using in the experimental CLI commands. So manifests, any specific image configuration that is necessary to run a container. For example, information like what command to run when starting the container. So this will probably be represented in the Docker file that was used to build the image itself. When the manifest is in hand, the client must verify the signature to ensure the names and layers are valid. So you can see it's some important stuff. Adding the experimental CLI commands, there's various ways to do this, but I will show you other methods of doing this. But if you're going to do it through Docker's config JSON, look for experimental false and change it to experimental enabled. You can also do experimental true, whatever works for you. This, for example, will make manifestation possible when calling a Docker manifest in your build instruction. Without this, manifest would not be possible at all. So using these experimental commands, you'll want to have a Travis CI project using manifest in conjunction with Docker. So Trav will spin up a Docker container, and you'll want to have in your script hook a Docker manifest call. So if you don't enable the experimental CLI Docker commands, you'll usually find yourself with this error. And we will get into this a little bit later. Okay, I want to use the experimental commands. No problem. So open up your .travis.yaml. Add the following line in your script hook in your .yaml file. And let's get to Travis. So let's go to view config. And the line that you'll see in this particular example that's missing is the one that I was just explaining, enable experimental CLI. So what you'll find is you'll go to branches and you'll go to your last build and you'll see, oops, actually it is this one. What you'll see here is it's saying that the CLI is the experimental CLI. It cannot run manifest via the experimental CLI is not enabled. So let's get back to the presentation here really quickly. Experimental CLI commands enabled. Now that we've enabled experimental CLI commands, we'll get to this in a minute in Docker. You'll do another build, and what you'll see is JSON. And in this case, we're doing IBM S390X running Python. And here should be the results. So non-enabled. So we did a little bit of a manifest on curl, and we verbosed it. And using verbose, we see it says Docker manifest inspect is only supported on a Docker CLI with experimental CLI features enabled. Now, once it's enabled, you'll see a JSON output that gives you the digest, the size, the platform, the architecture, the operating system. And let's go back to show you what a successful manifest build looks like. So here you go. Before that, you'll see here we have curl PPC 64LE running Node, an IBM S290X running Python, and then, of course, the IBM official repository running JRE. And you'll see all of these have JSON outputs, which means the manifests were called correctly. These would not be possible if you did not enable experimental CLI commands. Presentation. In conclusion, enabling experimental CLI commands in Docker allowed us to use manifest, and it's crucial when looking for a registry or a runtime that claims to have a certain Docker distribution or image specification. Of course, this could be deprecated gems, imports, the list goes on. And thank you for attending this webinar. A little quick, and hopefully you learned why using experimental CLI commands in Docker can be crucial, and really probably at some point will just be implemented into Docker. And I'll hand it over to Paul for the QA.
Thanks, Montana. Yeah, as you said, if you've got any questions, just drop them in the comments section of wherever you're viewing this, and we'll be happy to pick up from there. But for now, that's it from us. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you.